Savage Dragon 69 from November of 1999. Looks like Thor is about to smash the dragon's head in with his hammer. I have a lot to say about this cover later, so we will move on to the credits. Eric Larson, writer and artist. Lettering, Chris Eliopoulos. Ruben Rude colors. And donning now his gay apparel, Josh Eckhorn. This is Christmas of 99, of course, so that makes sense. On to the story. Super Patriot has been missing since issue 67. He's been captured by the Covenant of the Sword. And so now Dart is putting the events together of his disappearance, looking for clues. And in the same panel where she's asking this, there's this dude in the foreground just kind of whistling nonchalantly. But damn, does it seem like kind of a hint right there. Maybe a red herring. I actually don't know. So, hell, maybe John Day over here is actually the villain behind all this. But what I do know is that Dart is looking pretty stern there in that panel down there. And that is apparently intentional by Larson. He says that this is a new look for Dart because she's older now. She's been through a lot. And that people age and change in this book. Just like Ricochet and her daughter Sharona there, who's now a toddler. So last issue 68, Debbie had crash landed into the dragon's house. And I guess luckily Nurse Ann Stevens hadn't driven off yet, so she's able to give some medical attention, which is enough for Debbie to regain consciousness and warn Dragon that Thor and the other stranded gods are planning to raise the lost city of Atlantis and make it their new home, which sounds like a nice plan, actually, if you neglect to remember that there are Atlanteans in Atlantis. And the last time we saw them was in issue 49. The Atlantean army had tried to take over the surface world, but they started exploding from decompression. So bringing up the entire city would essentially be genocide of the Atlanteans. So Dragon, he brings this information to the SOS, but he's told to, did I skip a page? Yeah, there's the SOS. So he's told to stay out of it and that there are powers at play beyond what he's used to dealing with. So Dragon takes matters into his own hands, storms into the training room of the SOS to try and recruit some heroes for his mission, and She-Dragon instantly agrees. So there's Thor and his army of gods. Dragon makes his way through the crowd here so he can talk to Thor, appealing to any humanity that the son of Odin may have, which is zero. So he strikes at the dragon. They kind of exchange blows, which is when the cavalry jumps into action. We got Vanguard, She-Dragon, Mighty Man. We got the Deadly Duo, Brute Force, as well as a full nip slip by Earth Girl over there. The fans wrote in about that and how happy they were to see that, so I had to mention it. It's an all-out brawl between the gods and this team of heroes, and then Thor is just kicking the shit out of Mighty Man and Dragon. Meanwhile, this crazy-looking lady named Chin Riblik is actually performing the spell that will raise Atlantis. And it works. There it is in all its glory. Atlantis is risen. The heroes try to help save Atlanteans and return them to the water, but some of the gods are murdering them while they flee, so pretty horrible stuff. Dragon and Mighty Man are still losing this 2-on-1 battle against Thor, and Mighty Man is about to get his skull crushed there when Dragon swipes the hammer out of Thor's hand. Big mistake. He gets incinerated by this mystical fire. Brutal body horror. He loses his arm again. Even his fin gets burned off. And this leaves the dragon in a bad way. And Thor explains that you have to wear this special gauntlet to wield the hammer. Even Thor has to wear it. So he's about to demonstrate the proper usage when Mighty Man yells out, "Don't kill him. I love him. So this is shocking news to everyone because they don't know that Mighty Man is secretly the alter ego of Nurse Ann Stevens. But this doesn't stop Thor. He's about to finish the dragon off. When from out of nowhere, man, Zeke nearly snaps Thor's arm off. Larson loves mangling his character's appendages, man. Zeke had previously ripped off Hercules' arms, but he got those reattached. You can actually see Hercules with his reattached arms back there next to the rock, along with the rest of the SOS from the Washington, D.C. branch. You'd think that they're here to help the dragon, but Rock is not on their side. He says that the gods have done them a favor. They eliminated the threat of a hostile enemy nation, Atlantis, and they found a home for themselves at the same time. So, hey, there's nothing they can do about it now. The damage has been done. We got a heel turn by the Rock here, man. Who would have seen that coming? Anyway, Dragon returns to the hospital to recover, and he has a little makeout session with Nurse Ann Stevens, just as Alex Wilde is walking into his room with flowers. So the revolving door of endless women in Dragon's love life has turned once again. Excellent issue, a lot of fun to read, tying up some dangling plot threads, creating some new ones. Just top-notch stuff. On to the letters page, Fanatics, which opens with Larson recalling the words of Stan Lee, saying that sometimes these stories write themselves. And Larson always thought that was nuts, but now he finds out it's true, that the stories will go places he hadn't anticipated. That in this issue, for instance, he thought She-Dragon would have like a bigger role in the story, especially when he drew the cover for this issue, but it didn't turn out that way. So, speaking of this cover, some fans, they wrote in saying that this cover features a mistake. So as we just saw, you must be wearing the gauntlet to wield the hammer. Even Thor has to. So what we got here, Thor is just holding Mjolnir with his bare hands. So here's what Larson says about that. Let me pull up this Fanatics here. So speaking of, let's see. Here's what Larson says. I certainly knew that Thor needed to wear his gauntlet to hold his hammer, but the composition worked better with Thor holding it in his right hand, so that's how I drew it. I don't consider the covers of Savage Dragon to be part of continuity. Every cover is somewhat inaccurate in terms of how it portrays what goes on inside. So 0 of the last 10 covers are accurate. So let's see, last issue, Alex was not hauled off into space. Issue 66, Dragon was never on a large kitchen table. Then issue 67, Malcolm never stood between Dragon or between Super Patriot and Dark Lord. So Larson says that covers are like movie posters. You don't have to be accurate with them. So we got some more on covers in general in the Fanatics here. There's a letter asking about the blurb on this issue, Super Patriot versus Dark Lord there, the little tag. And the fan is like, hey, why don't you use those cover blurbs more often? And Larson says that he has shied away from using those in the past, but there are times when some copy is necessary to clarify things for the casual observer. He certainly has changed his position on blurbs at some point, because these days most Savage Dragon covers feature one, like the most recent issue here, 276, Amy Dragon Unleashed. Anyway, moving on. This letter back here asks Larson where he sees himself in 10 years, which would be November of 2009. And Larson says that he sees himself writing and drawing Savage Dragon issue 190. So let's see how accurate he is. November of 2009, issue 154 was released. So he was about 36 issues off of 190, which would end up being released in July of 2013 is when 190 would come out. We'll check that one out. I love that one. Anyway, so yeah, man, it's not too bad, though, all things considered. He's about 8 or 9 issues a year for a decade. Not an easy task. And he's doing what he loves. He goes on in this letter. I'm simply happy to be in the funny book field, period. This is what I wanted to do with my whole life. I didn't break into comics to use it as a stepping stone to something else. This is where I want to be. So that's an excellent place to leave that. Next, we got a pinup by Canadian artist Tom Fowler. It's really cool, kind of almost Jeff Darrow composition with the painted color. I dig it. Got another installment of Dragonbert and Brainbert. Followed up with a very funny Megaton Man backup feature. Don Simpson is just taking shots at creators and fans and comic culture in general. Very prescient material in here. One of the best Megaton Mans they've had in this book. Then there's Desperate Times back here as well by Chris Eliopoulos. Finally, an ad for Telos number 6 by artist Mike Waringo, who he unfortunately passed away in 2007 at the age of 44. So Jesus Christ, man, I'm sorry to wrap it up on such a down note, but get used to it because issue 70 is a real bummer. Adios.